Hey there, I'm Ian Douglas. I'm the author of the website techinterview.guide, and I'm here to help people with career advancement and interview preparation. My live stream on Twitch covers topics such as company research, how to build resumes and cover letters, applying for the job, getting through interviews, and what to do during negotiations. I've coached thousands and thousands of people over the years to get jobs at the biggest tech companies in the industry, and I'm here to help you too. The following episode is taken from a longer live stream event and may contain interactions with other people in chat. Check out the end of the episode for more information. Let's get to it. Chat here. So Bigro says, I'm taking a college Java class, also trying out She-Codes for a quicker certificate. Cool. Hoping a certificate will help beef up my LinkedIn page and pop on my resume. The certificate alone probably won't. It's really the projects that are going to come out of that. So if you've got specific projects where you're building out kind of those fundamentals around things like go build a login page so I know that you know how to do authentication, or show me like how to build a what we call a CRUD application where you can create, read, update, and delete data from a database or a data storage of some kind. At that sort of fundamental level, if you can demonstrate a project showing those fundamentals, that always looks good on a resume. So part of the talk that I gave earlier today was what kinds of projects should you put on a resume? And what I was suggesting is having something that's highly relevant to my company should be the first project on there. The second project you should put on there is something showing me these fundamentals. Like I know how to handle form input data. I know when and why to use CFRF tokens. I know about, basic web security. You don't have to like go do all those things, but like showing the fundamentals of, I know how to build a CRUD app. I know how to like save and retrieve stuff. And then the third project is something that you're really interested in. And ideally that thing that you're really, really interested in is also something that my company is really interested in. If not, it's okay too. That'll kind of give you like a well-rounded sort of portfolio for that resume for that company. Now, are all of those projects going to be the same for every company? Not necessarily. Now, if you are working around a particular industry, then maybe those projects will be relevant to all of the companies in that industry. And so in that case, you could just send the same resume. Same skills are needed, same kinds of projects are going to be relevant from that perspective. So the first project should be something that my company is going to be really keen to see. The second one is like, show me some other kind of fundamental sort of web development skill or some other programming skill that you want me to know about. And the third one could be like a passion project or something that you're really interested in or something that you're just really, really proud of. Those would be the three projects I would leave on a resume. Now, the order of those things may differ from company to company. This is also why I talk about building a really big resume. And, eventually, like when you're applying for a job, you're going to trim out the other projects that aren't as relevant to my company to bring that back down, ideally to one page. But if you need 2 pages, that's okay too. But again, I want to know in a hurry, do you have the skill that I'm looking for? Are you relevant for this role? That's what's going to get me interested in getting you on the phone. So those would be the 3 projects that you do. So from Bigros, from your specific question of like, I'm hoping a certificate's going to give me a boost, it'll help because it'll show that you've actually gone and you've learned some sort of structured curriculum. So I'm not implying that certifications won't help at all. I'm saying by itself, it won't help. It really is like, what else is the outcome of getting that certificate? Like, what did you actually go learn? How can you demonstrate those skills? That will stand out more on a resume in conjunction with showing that certificate. So having the certificate as education, it's good. Having projects that came out of that is better. Icon33, I rock. Thank you. Appreciate that. You also rock. Thank you for dropping by. Give you some blinky lights and a hello. Thanks for dropping by, Icon33. Feel free to drop a follow as well. I'll focus on 3 projects to start. Prove my learned skills that link to each position. Okay. Yeah. So again, like as a hiring manager, when I'm looking at that list of projects on your resume, I really hope that the first project that you list is highly relevant to me. Now, a project that's relevant to me might not be relevant to, let's say, Zooey in chat. Let's say Zooey is also a hiring manager and you're applying to both of our companies. The project that's more relevant to Zooey should be at the top of the resume that you give to Zooey, and the project that's more important to me should be at the top of that project portion of your resume for the resume that you send to me. So you're constantly going to be moving these things around as you're applying for these jobs. But making that one big resume where you're listing all of your projects, at least they're all on there, they're all formatted the same way, you got all the links in there that you we would want to see. And then you can just go figure out, okay, when I apply for this job, I'm going to make a copy of that resume. I'm going to rearrange those things for what's important to that company. And now that I've rearranged that stuff, I've got a customized resume just for them. That's what's going to like really stand out and make me really interested in interviewing you. So having something that's highly relevant to me, something that shows fundamentals around like these are the things that I know how to go build, whether it's an API or a desktop app or a web app, like whatever's important to them to show fundamental learning. And then some kind of project that's interesting to you or something that you're super proud of that you want to highlight to them. Those would be the 3 projects I would keep on whatever resume that you're sending to that particular company. All right, we got a bunch of other stuff happening in chat. How many projects should I aim to have in a starting portfolio? Yes, I would absolutely get those on GitHub. I would say the more projects you can build, the better, but don't feel overwhelmed like, oh, if I don't have 10 projects, I'm not a good developer. Again, if you can show like even just one big project that shows those fundamentals around like authentication, authorization, database storage, form processing, session management, like a lot of these certificates and a lot of these bootcamp programs, they're going to teach you these things. Maybe not all of them, but if you can build a project with those fundamentals, you can also use that as like, okay, well, now that I've got this thing where people can log in and save stuff in a database, now I can just go add a to-do list thing in that app. So you're still logging in, but now you see a link to like go manage your to-do list. And now I'm going to do like a recipe, kitchen inventory kind of thing. So let's go design out the database for that. And I'm going to build that into the application as well. And so maybe the application is going to feel like Frankenstein's monster of like you're just bolting on all these things. That's okay too. You're still showing me, hey, this is how I've built out these fundamentals. This is what I know to do. And I've actually gone and added all these little micro apps in here that the users can do once they're logged in. So you could build it out in that sense. Or you could just make them as separate apps. And so one thing that I recommended to this group that I spoke with today is if you go build that app with the authentication and session management, blah, 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 you can use that as kind of a skeleton sort of code, like make a copy of that repo to then go build whatever else you want. But all of the kind of inherent like database setup and authentication and session management is already there. So you don't have to go rebuild that in a whole new app every time. Just make a copy of that core application and use that as what we call a scaffolding to then go build whatever other application you want to build. So you don't have to necessarily make one enormous project, but you also don't have to go make 20 different projects to highlight each of those other things. You can make fewer projects, but really as a hiring manager, it's about how do I see the relevance of what it is that you're building as your projects? How, like which of those are relevant to what I do as a company? That's what's going to make your resume stand out to get those interviews. So it's not just the certification, it's also figuring out like what is important to the companies where I want to apply, like what kinds of companies do you want to apply to so that you can figure out from there, how do I know what kind of project to even go build? Like if you really want to work in the email industry, you'll go build several projects about, okay, or maybe just one project where you say, I've got a thing where the user can go in and specify like which email system they want to send through. They want to send it through SendGrid or MailChimp or AWS or whatever. Like all these places have email sending APIs. I'm just going to go build one thing where you can construct a message and it'll send it out through whichever email system you want. You click a button saying, send through SendGrid, send through MailChimp, and it'll like go send through that other thing. Now you've got one application that you can then go take to all of those companies and say, I really like working with this kind of thing. Here's what I've built that's relevant to your company. This is why I want to come work for you. Here's a project to go evaluate where I'm kind of like doing this side-by-side comparison of different email APIs and how I've implemented each of them. So I've got a good understanding of all the major players in the industry. And now you can go apply at all those companies with one project, as opposed to having to go build out separate projects for everybody. Thanks for checking that out. I hope that you found it helpful. I always appreciate feedback, so please let me know what you think. I appreciate any subscriptions, so please tell your friends and colleagues about it as well. Check out the website techinterview.guide for more information about when I'm live streaming and all of my free content. Drop by a live stream anytime to ask questions or message me privately, whatever makes you most comfortable. See you next time.